Anime of the year. Seriously, while other anime struggle to do one thing right, this anime does everything so seamless and make it look so easy. From the characters, the writing, the animation, the pacing, the world building, even comedy and more. This anime does everything just I just was when I watched everything, all 24 episodes. I was just blown away, and let me just tell you, last year, the clear winner Frieren lost against the first season of Solo Leveling. If this year the second season of Solo Leveling wins against this anime, I'm going to be so angry that you cannot even believe the nasty comments I'm going to leave on those videos. Half joking. Now, I'm talking about To Be Hero X, 24 episode action and anime original. Now, before I even begin to talk about the world building, the characters, and the different arcs, let me just talk about the animation. The animation was beautiful. From it, the first two arcs, the Nice arc and the Isol arc, are pretty much in 3D, and it's very well done 3D, very reminiscent to the anime from Netflix, Arcane. Now, is it as good as Arcane? I won't be able to tell you because I haven't watched that anime, but still, I even without comparing it, still you can see just how well done the 3D was done and handled. And not only that, yes, and there's even certain parts of the episode where they transition, if mostly for fights, they transition to 2D and then back to 3D, and it's never jarring. It never felt out of place when they do the transition from shifting from different animation style. No, it was just done so well done. No, let me start now with the first arc and the first character, Linley, with the Nice arc. Now, his arc was a very well introduction to the world of To Be Hero X, because we have base with the Nice arc, we have basic world building when it comes to the trust value and how it affects you, and not only in a good way by getting powers and becoming a hero, but also in negative ways. For example, there's in the third episode, there's a hero called Sternman who always stands tall and stern, and his whole thing is that he can never bend down or anything. And yes, it's all good and all, and even a very comedic moment when in his episode that just made me burst out laughing. But let me say that yes, I guessed it from the beginning that yes, because of people having such a belief that he's always going to stand tall and stern, well, he can never lay down to go to sleep or to use the toilet. So people's certain belief in the type of hero that you are will affect you in, well, it depends. It's a by case scenario. Not all heroes are affected in a negative way. The only two heroes that I can right now think of that were effective, well, Sternman, yes, he was affected very negatively. But there's another hero called Smile, and he always is smiling because where it be on his everyday life or even while fighting a criminal or a villain, he's always smiling, and that's the type of, because the people believe that he's somebody that no matter the situation, he will always do it with a smile. So that's, and there's other characters, but right now those are the only two that are coming into my head. Now, to finish the talking about the nice arc, let me just say I am not ashamed to admit it. At the fourth episode, I actually cried. It was mostly because of the voice acting of the main character Ling Ling, and not only with his emotional speech, but when the soundtrack hit, oh my god, I was bawling. When the whole thing, when the scene was done and over, my eyes were red and puffy, and I was watching it with a couple of friends, and you know, yeah, just kidding around, but yes, I'm not afraid to admit it. So that's mostly the nice arc. Let's move on to the Isol arc. Now, when it comes to Isol, it was it was the Isol arc was mostly like an introduction to the heroes' agencies, and how out of their way they will go to manipulate things to go into their favors. And sadly, yes, Isol was able. I forgot the his actual name. I only remember the Isol name, but the new Isol, he was able to become the new Isol, but he lost so much along the way, friendship, loved ones, even his own dreams, hopes and dream of becoming a great hero. No, he's pretty much he became Isol just how he always wanted ever since he was a child, but he just lost so much. And one thing that I want to say before I move on from the Isol arc is it was such the fight between the old Isol and the new Isol was just so incredible. The way that even though they both characters use electricity to fight, the way that it was just done, the animation, it was incredible. And honestly, certain a certain scene of the fight remind me of a fight in One Piece that it was pretty much the same shot when one coming forward, and it was just so it was so cool. Now, moving on, the next arc is Lucky Cyan. Now, Lucky Cyan, her arc was just beautiful, and the way that is revealed, that the way how she, because she's been lucky ever since she was small, pretty much ever since the plane wreck, she has always been lucky, people taking advantage of her and everything. She, with the help of somebody, escaping and becoming pretty much a pop star and being scouted to becoming a hero. Now, I'm going to be very honest. I was throughout that entire arc, I was thinking to myself, she's just a pop star. She just sings, play the guitar. How and being lucky, okay, being lucky. Yes, there's Domino from Deadpool, but she's just a little girl, no training, no nothing. So I was throughout the entire arc before the last episode, I was always wondering me how is it going to be her fighting style. I just cannot picture it in my mind. But once in the last episode from her arc, she started fighting. I was actually blown away in the very creative ways that she uses her luck to fight enemies, and even the bow and arrow weapons. It was just so well done. And this arc, other than obviously Lucky Cyan, it was also to introduce a new substance called fear. When we have people have luck value, now there's a new substance called fear, and some hero agency or the association are trying to say something very idiotic, that the fear is going to be the next big thing, that even over trust value for towards heroes. And I was thinking to myself, it's called fear. At least name it something else. But it is in the name. What type of person? It's like saying, oh, that person called kill, bloody murder. Oh, trust him. Go and follow him. Why am I going to put my trust in a substance called fear to be the new big thing to keep people safe? It's just, at least name it something else. Now, next is the queen arc, and let me just say she is my queen because she is her powers are just so not as, sadly not as broken as the hero X, but still her powers very broken to a certain degree, and she has always been somebody that wants to that when she makes up her mind, she does everything as perfectly as possible to accomplish her goal. And yeah, sadly in her arc she got a setback. She failed as something for the first time because she wanted to be the next hero X, and a certain time frame, and when she didn't get her way, she got into a slump. She needed the help of certain friends that she met to help her get over that slump. But let me just say, when it comes to well, there are other fights that are technically better from a technical standpoint. The fight between Queen and Boa, to me, is just the best fight of the entire anime of To Be Hero X, because it just got my blood pumping, adrenaline rushing. I was just on my edge, and the edge of my seat, looking at every frame, at every movement, just going, man. I honestly think, and I'm not joking, that this fight from Queen and Boa is better than the fight of solo leveling between the Ant King in the or the Chimera and King. The fight between Queen and Boa, I still think much better. Now with the Lowly arc, not Lolly, Lowly, it was just a beautiful message that you can be both beautiful, hot, sexy, or whichever word you want to use, and be incredibly capable at the same time. You Because she has always been, ever since she was small, wanting to be a hero, but sadly because she's so cute and petite, people don't put her trust in her to be the one doing the protecting, and always thinking, oh, she's small and petite, let me be the one to protect her. So she uses her engineering skill to create herself pretty much an Iron Man suit, but with a bunny motif, and very well done. The design was well done, and honestly, even though that she has not been fighting pretty much for never be from the very first fight, she used that suit, iron suit, so well, that you will think that she was have been using that for at least 1 or 2 years, but no, from off the bat she was using that suit like it was second nature, fighting against certain the disco, I forgot his name, but the disco villain, and the fight against the disco villain, and even another fight when it comes to the alien wreckage. So she was just blowing me away of the different ways that she was using that technology of her iron suit. So I was just blown away. Now, with the Ghost Blade arc, it demonstrates that no matter how weird or how much of an outcast or how mentally damaged you are, there's always somebody out there who is just right for you, who is equally as weird as you are. But joking aside, talking about the Ghostblade arc, look, the Ghostblade arc, it was very unexpected, but the Ghostblade arc has the most comedy or comedic moments of any other arc. There was just so much many very laugh out loud moments From the misunderstanding, he is stalking his daughter, trying to keep her safe, trying to getting to know more about her. But from her daughter's point of view, she just thinks that she's being stalked by a pervert. And all those misunderstanding, he getting annoyed by another hero that just talks too much. Everything was comedy. The comedy was so well done. Now, he also was, one thing I want to say is, look, he also was a hero that he was negatively affected by the trust of the people towards him, because the people believe of him that he's a hero that will get the job done as silently as possible, like a ghost. And because of that, he's not able to speak. So in the past, he had absolutely no problems with that, because he never likes to speak, and he hates loud noises. But now that being wanting to talk to his daughter and having a reason to actually talk, but he cannot. And also, one thing I want to talk about, the beginning of his arc, showing his childhood and how he grew up, and just the animation that was done perfectly captures the mental anguish that he was suffering throughout his entire childhood. The animation captured all of that perfectly. So yes, his entire arc was also very fascinating. Now, moving on to the Little Johnny arc, and I'm going to be very honest, the Little Johnny arc was, to me, the weakest arc and the least interesting arc of them all. Yes, we got to learn about Little Johnny himself, how he got Big Johnny being the little cat alien and everything. But we didn't learn, there was nothing when it comes to world building or anything else of the matter that we got to learn more of. It was mostly learning a little bit of Johnny's backstory himself. And I'm going to also say that even though that Little Johnny is the top, I think he was the top six hero, the dude is weak. I mean, while Ghostblade and Loli were fighting against certain opponents, Little Johnny was just there in the corner cowering, throwing a boomerang, some smoke bombs, but he was just not impressive at all. He pretty much in the entire fight, he was just in a corner being a coward, and only Big Johnny, the cat alien, and by the end of it, he was the have to step up and go into a rampage to fight the villain from the villain. So yes, the Little Johnny arc was just, to me, just the weakest. Now, moving on to the Dragon Boy arc. Now, when it comes to Dragon Boy, I will say that his arc is the opposite of Little Johnny. With Little Johnny, we got little to no world building, but we got a lot of backstory of Little Johnny himself. And with Dragon Boy, it's the opposite. With Dragon Boy, we got little to no backstory on the character himself, but we did got a lot more world building and more backstory when it comes to his hero agency with Rock and everything. And whether you want to say that his art was as equally as boring as Little Johnny, or a little bit less, that's up to you to decide. But to me, Dragon Boy arc was just a little bit more interesting, mostly because we got the hero X finally. Well, he did show up in previous episode, but very briefly. But in Dragon's Boy arc, we got more of him front and center with the hero X, and even with the whole thing with the hero smile, and how he was such a good, great guy and a great father, and him being done dirty like that, it was just heartbreaking, showing just how vile certain hero or hero agency and the association can get just to accomplish their goals. It was just brutal. Now, moving on to the next arc, we have the Ahu, who his arc takes a completely different art style, because the first two arc with Nice and Iso was primarily in 3D, and all the from the third arc with Lucky Cyan and onwards was all in 2D animation. But Ahu arc was still just in 2D animation, but in a different 2D art style. There is more was very a comparison right now doesn't come to mind, but still very well done style of animation. The only thing that I am very dissatisfied about his arc is that when even though the Ahu, yes, he is his, or let's say his origin arc, how he became a hero. I was very disappointed that we didn't get to see him using his powers, because if you see the preview trailers from certain heroes, that you will have like 2 to 3 minutes, a cool soundtrack and a cool intro to each different hero, who we even in his in his preview trailer, we only got a small glimpse on his powers. And when the episode, whose dedicated episode came up, I thought, oh, I want to see not a glimpse but a proper use of his powers. But I never came up. But very emotional the way that he was a clown in a circus, and running away. Well, not running away. He got thrown away because he beat a child, and being adopted by a girl that just wants to make him a hero, and very enamored with Hahu, thinking that he's just such a great animal and the most powerful creature in the world. So yes, Who arc was also very interested. Is it? I would say that not the best, but much, at least much better than Little Johnny's arc. That's for sure, and Dragon Boy's arc. Now, for the last episode, we have finally an entire dedicated video to episode to the Hero X, because from the beginning we only get glimpse of him throughout certain episode, or from for certain arcs. And with the Dragon Boy arc, we finally got to see how he properly uses his powers with the snap of his fingers. But now we have an entire episode of him and only him, well, primarily him. But let me just say that his fighting style was just incredible. The dude was walking, just was simply walking, snapping his fingers, just throwing a flick of a coin, and he was just decimating every single other hero that was just trying to kill him, to prevent him from taking part in the hero ranking battles. But yes, the Hero X arc was just well done, the entire thing, and even doing a little bit of not world building but revelations of the world building of what happens years in the past, because there was a hero that turned villain and just spread out fear throughout the world and became from a dragon. And it's very weird that they call him dragon, but let's just say from a god becoming a demon. But yes, and even setting up in the last 3 to 4 minutes, setting up with a cool small glimpse of what we're going to have in the second season of To Be Hero X. It was just incredible. The only thing that I can say right now, that I am going to give this anime a score of 10 out of 10. It was just incredible. It's 24 episodes, and look, if you compare it to something like One Piece, 24 episodes is nothing. So if you haven't watched it, I completely recommend this anime. To me, this anime is anime of the year, and you are not going to be disappointed in any way, because this doesn't just only have action. Like I said in the beginning, not only we have action, world building, characters, writing, it was just I am just speechless. So I'm going to end it here now. Now have a good day, have a good night, wherever you're from. See you next video.